Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm Patrol Sergeant Ward Gordon with Winnipeg Police Service. And over the past 4 years, I've also had the pleasure of serving as the treasurer for the Winnipeg 2023 World Police and Fire Games. I'd like to thank the Winnipeg Police Service Public Information Office for allowing us to use their venue today and for helping me set this up, as well as for sending out the release to all of you. I think it's also important to thank all of the media that are here today. Your contributions during our games, both covering it and promoting our games as well, is part of the success that we saw. Here today, also representing the City of Winnipeg, is Councillor Vivian Santos, who also took an active role in our games, volunteering as a sports coordinator for our wrist wrestling. Also representing the province of Manitoba is Mr. Logan Oxenham, MLA for Kirkfield Park. Thank you both very much for attending. There are a number of organizations and individuals who contributed a great deal to the success of our games. And I'd like to take a minute to identify and thank a few of them. Our major funding partners, the Government of Canada, Province of Manitoba, City of Winnipeg, the National Police Federation, United Firefighters of Winnipeg, Winnipeg Police Association, Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries Casinos of Winnipeg, Tourism Winnipeg, Travel Manitoba, and Economic Development Winnipeg. Without their support and the support of other corporate sponsors, these legacy programs would not have happened. You've contributed immensely to the success of our games. There's also a number of our board members here today with us. Many of them probably wearing their service uniforms, some of them wearing the same logoed World Police and Fire Games sweater that I have on, sitting over to my left here. This was a voluntary board. A lot of these board members gave hundreds, if not thousands of hours of their time and contributed a great deal to the success of our games. Finally, I have to thank our service partners. The Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Manitoba Corrections, and the Winnipeg Police Service. Your commitment to our games made them a success. As mentioned in the press release, our legacy program has 3 components. This legacy program is the work of our Chief Operating Officer, Mike Edwards, and our board chair, standing right back there, Chad Swayze. They put a great deal of effort, thought, and their hearts and souls into making sure this program has a lasting legacy for our games to continue on. It was unanimously supported by our board of directors as well. The first component is a $90,000 that we've donated to 9 different sport venues that were utilized during our games. This investment will help ensure the legacy of the World Police and Fire Games has a lasting effect by investing in the future of these organizations and improving their facilities for future events. The 9 venues that have received this grant include Bison Butte Recreational Trails at Fort White Alive, Dakota Community Center, St. Vital Curling Club, Winnipeg Lawn Tennis Club, Archery Manitoba, Winnipeg Trap and Skeet, Maple Grove Rugby Park, and the Royal Canadian Legion No. 9 Elmwood Branch, and the Royal Canadian Legion No. 30 West Kildonan Branch. The second component of our legacy is what's been entitled the 2023 Winnipeg World Police and Fire Game Athlete Legacy Fund. It's an investment of $34,000, which will be used to support first responders from Manitoba that will be competing in future World Police and Fire Games. 2025 Birmingham World Police and Fire Game registration just opened up 3 weeks ago, and we hope to have a strong contingent of athletes attend and represent on behalf of Manitoba at those games. First responders who attend these games do so on their own expense and on their own time. This fund will assist by removing a small portion of that financial barrier for those who've given so much in the service of their community. I'd also like to point out that with us here today is Constable Daryl Hees from the Winnipeg Police Service. He's standing directly behind Daryl. If you could just move over kind of to the front here so they can see on the cameras if they choose to. So Daryl is one of those athletes who is going to benefit from this program. Daryl's story is very unique. He was involved in a serious cycling accident at the 2015 Fairfax Games, one that left there was 3 people involved in it. One of the members involved in it unfortunately lost his life. Daryl suffered life-altering injuries. Normally, the injuries that he received, he would never be wearing that uniform again. Through his resilience, he was able to power back and come back to our service, where he's currently working as a constable in our cadet unit. On top of that, during our games, some of you may be aware there was a cycling accident at our games as well, where at least 3 athletes had fairly serious injuries. I can tell you that Daryl took a very lead role in ensuring that all of those people received the proper care, were taken care of, looking after their families, having their families over for dinner while they were stuck here, and making sure that they all got home safely. So this is the type of person that Legacy Fund is going to help with, giving them a small portion of their registration and sport fees that they have to pay to go to future World Police and Fire Games. Thanks, Daryl. I do recommend Daryl would make himself available to anybody that wants to speak to him after and get a bit more details on his story. The third and final component to our Legacy program is $180,000, which is being split evenly between 3 youth organizations. Winnipeg Aboriginal Sport Achievement Centre, commonly referred to as WASAC, Manitoba Aboriginal Sport and Recreation Council, and Kids Sport. We hope that these donations leave a lasting effect on the youth in our community. These organizations were identified because they provide young people with the opportunity to participate in sport and recreation, fostering the concepts of teamwork, discipline, and leadership. At this time, I'd like to call up Executive Director of WASAC, Trevor Lafort.
Well, I'm first up. Good morning. My name is Trevor Lafort, and I'm the Executive Director of the Winnipeg Aboriginal Sport Achievement Center, or as Ward said, we're more commonly known as WASAC. One of the first jobs I had when I started my career nearly 25 years ago, I was in the year 2000, I was the finance coordinator for the 2002 North American Indigenous Games held here right in Winnipeg. Because I was in the finance department, I had knowledge of every aspect that went into putting on a successful games, from venue management, opening and closing ceremonies, food, transportation, and lodging. I gained experience in a lot of different ways. So seeing what the 2023 World Police and Fire Games managed to accomplish, holding an event over 10 days with 8,500 participants from over 70 countries, is very impressive. As finance coordinator, I was also one of the last 2 people working at the NEG, and I gained valuable insight into the work that the Legacy Committee did to make sure that the games lived on long after the last event had finished. WASAC is very, very honored to be alongside MSRC and Kids Sport in receiving Legacy funding from these games. We are grateful for the investment in our youth. These funds will help us to continue to develop leadership and mentorship skills for Indigenous youth in sport, recreation, and cultural programs. Lastly, I'd like to thank CEO Mike Edwards, Chairperson Chad Swayze, Treasurer Ward Gordon, and the rest of the team at the World Police and Fire Games for their amazing work in putting on this event and for their generous donation to our organization. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call up Mel Whitesell from the Manitoba Aboriginal Sport and Recreation Council.
I was told to be very brief because they know how much I like to talk, so I just have a couple lines today. Mel Whitesell, Executive Director of Manitoba Aboriginal Sport and Rec Council. And on behalf of our organization, we want to thank the Winnipeg Police and Fire Games for this generous donation. We believe in the power of sport, recreation, and physical activity, and to positively impact the lives of Indigenous peoples. So this donation will be used to establish more sport, more recreation, and wellness opportunities through Manitoba in Indigenous communities and the city of Winnipeg. Thank you very, very much.
and also Dustin Eyre, the Manitoba Coordinator for Kids Sport.
I was also told to be brief because I do also like to chit chat a little bit. On behalf of Kids Sport Manitoba, I do want to sincerely thank the Winnipeg Police and Fire Games for this contribution. It couldn't have come at a more needing time. We're seeing the highest numbers that we've ever seen in our program. This year alone, we're going to be funding just over 1,700 kids. And that dollar amount comes at about $620,000, which has jumped about $100,000 from this time last year. This contribution is going to fund up to 120 kids in Manitoba. It's a tremendous donation that we've received. It usually takes up to about 5 or 6 donors to be able to fund one child. So to be able to fund 120 in Manitoba next year is something that we greatly appreciate. Thank you once again for your consideration.
And now, on behalf of the province of Manitoba, I'd like to invite MLA for Kirkfield Park, Mr. Logan Oxenham, up for some remarks.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Logan Oxenham. I'm the MLA for Kirkfield Park, and I'm a former correctional officer, frontline, working on the floor. And I remember the games and the excitement and just the pride that I felt seeing my colleagues participating for a good cause. On behalf of the Honorable Premier Wab Kinew, I would like to thank you for inviting me here today. And on behalf of the Manitoba government, I want to honor the sacredness and importance of this land and the ancestors that once walked where we are standing today. The Anishinaabe, the Inanilak, the Dene, the Dakota, the Métis, the Inuit, the Anishinaabe nations have all paved the way to what is now known as Manitoba, home to all treaty people. The reason we share this information with you all is a reminder of our treaty histories, of the original and homelands of these nations, which have become home to all of us here today. As an MLA and a parent, I understand the importance that sports play in kids' development. It gives them confidence and helps them build that strong sense of community that comes with organized sports. Ensuring kids have the opportunity to play is integral to their growth for a safe and healthy community. You all understand this because you're at the front lines and you see firsthand the impacts that come from the lack of opportunities. What we do as leaders in our communities matters to the future generations. This is why I'm impressed with the efforts of the 2023 World Police and Fire Games, because it's now creating a lasting legacy in our communities. As role models, you brought the largest multi-sport event of its kind to Manitoba, with over 5,300 athletes from 68 countries competing across 48 venues, supported by just over 2,600 volunteers, and with nearly 7,000 medals awarded. You brought a new opportunity for people to come together in our community. As a result, your efforts will have a continuing impact by funding local sports venues and supporting youth in sports. Our NDP team and Premier share this similar vision, the vision that supports our province's youth and helping them reach their full potential. So again, on behalf of Premier Wab Kinew, thank you for your efforts in community, and congratulations to everyone for making this happen. Thank you so much.
And last but certainly not least, our wrist wrestling sports coordinator, and no, I'm not going to challenge you to a arm wrestle today, Councillor Vivian Santos.
Good morning, everyone. It truly is to be an honor here today on behalf of His Worship Mayor Scott Gillingham, my fellow city councillors, and the City of Winnipeg to celebrate the remarkable legacy left behind by the 2023 World Police and Fire Games. As a city, we're incredibly proud to partner with such prestigious international sporting event that brought together first responders from around the globe. These games showcased not only the athletic talent of first responders, but also their camaraderie, resilience, and community spirit. I had the privilege of volunteer as the sport coordinator for the wrist wrestling, or also known as arm wrestling, tournament during the games. It was an experience and truly opened my eyes to the passion and sportsmanship of these incredible athletes. Witnessing the determination and unity on display was inspiring and reaffirmed how sports have the power to bring people together in meaningful ways. Today, we're here to celebrate an extraordinary contribution to our community, the donations through the World Police and Fire Games Legacy Program. These generous gifts will benefit 3 youth sports organizations in Winnipeg, organizations that are dedicated to creating opportunities for young people to participate in sports. As the Chair of Community Services and Council Liaison for Youth Opportunities, I know firsthand the importance of investing in our youth. These organizations do more than teach sports and skills. They foster teamwork, discipline, and leadership. They create safe spaces where young people can grow physically, mentally, and culturally through sport and recreation. This donation ensures that more Winnipeg youth will have access to the resources they need to develop their talents, build connections, and achieve their potential. By doing so, we're not only strengthening our communities today, but also nurturing the leaders of tomorrow. On behalf of the City of Winnipeg, I want to express my heartfelt thanks to the Winnipeg Police and, World Police and Fire Games Legacy Program for your incredible generosity. Your commitment to leaving a lasting legacy in our city is deeply appreciated. Together, through partnerships like this, we are building a stronger, healthier, and more connected Winnipeg. Thank you.
All right. So that is it for our announcement today. I do want to open the floor up to any questions from the media, whether it be for myself or any of the speakers, or for our chair, Chad Swayze, who's in the back. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Matthew Frank for CBC. I'm just curious, with this funding of over $300,000, where is this funding coming from?
So our total budget for the games, in the end, our budget was set at $14.8 million through our corporate funding and our funding partners. That's what we were able to bring in. A lot of it was value in kind. So it's services that are provided that have a dollar value to it. In the end, we were able to, through some fiscal responsibility, work of Chad and our chair, Mike Edwards, as well as Stu Duncan, who is our finance chair, we were able to get our games done at just around 14.5. It left $330,000 that we were able to utilize for this fund. So we have taken almost all of that, except for the little bit we need left to do our final audits and everything, and that's what's going towards this. So that's where the money's come from.
You say that the Athletes Legacy Fund is being used to reduce barriers. Can you describe what some of the financial barriers that owners experience?
One thing that not a lot of people really realize about our games is that $14.8 million, 1.8 million US, so about $2.3 million Canadian, actually came from the athletes who are participating. When you participate in the games, there's a registration fee that goes to the World Police and Fire Games in California. It's at minimum $150 US, and it goes up the closer to the games you get. But on top of that, every person who is an athlete pays a sport fee as well. And the sport fees vary depending on what the cost of the sport is. For instance, golf was our most expensive sport, and I believe the athlete fee for that was around $535 US. Whereas a sport like swimming, cross country, things like that that don't have as much cost associated to them might have been around the $100 or just a little bit less. But the athletes do pay that fee. Now, on top of that, the athletes also have to find accommodations. They have to find travel. The athletes, for the most part, especially athletes from Canada and the United States, don't have services that give them time to go and compete. They're using their holiday time to go compete. They're using their leave banks. And they're also, one of the difficulties is they have to make sure they're not leaving their shifts short or their services short as well. So there's some obstacles around that. This fund is really set up to offer members who want to go paying for their registration fee. They would still be responsible for their travel, their hotels, their sport fee. It is just a little touch to take a bit of the sting off.
In terms of it says with the Athletes Legacy Fund is it's an initial donation. Is there a plan for further donations in the future?
You know what?
How long is that gonna last?
I have not brought this up yet, but we do have the president of the United Firefighters Winnipeg currently, who is retiring in the back there. I will be making a request to the 3 unions after this year, depending on the success of the program, and seeing if they would be willing to contribute to the fund to keep it going so that it lasts into future games. But again, that'll be something that would be determined by the unions if they feel that it's something that benefits the members. And we'll kind of get a gauge of that from what kind of commitment we get this year from our athletes.
How long is that funding gonna be in place for?
The funding will be in place until it is completely drained. And we've designated 3 members, myself, Sherry Bergman, and a member from the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service to monitor, oversee it, and ensure that an athlete has to register, go and participate in the games, and then send us verification that they've been in Birmingham and competed, and then we send them the money. Any other questions? Nope. Okay, I think we're good. Thank you very much for attending. I do really appreciate the media both being here, but also everything that you did for us during the games and promoting and ensuring that it was successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.